Today I'm going to be presenting with my two wonderful co-presenters, CARES Education, and I want to introduce Beverly Robertson. Woo! Tracy Reed, right there. Hi. I'm Kim Haywood. I'm the Vice President of Direct Response Fundraising and CRM. Woo! And we are going to have some fun today learning all about education and how we can talk about it confidently, comfortably. So I'm going to turn it right over to Beverly.
Okay, I'm a public health nerd. I'm one of those types, right? So cervical insufficiency, I just thought I'd say that, because we're struggling with cervix. So why do we educate? What's the point of all of that? So as we learned this morning, doesn't everybody know that we're not supposed to be smoking and drinking, and we should be taking folic acid, and we should be at our healthy weight, and all of this can impact preconception and pregnancy, right? Okay, I need you to say this loudly with me. No! No! People don't know. As we saw this morning, the smoking thing, people don't know, and people are still doing it. And so these are some data points. I just think it's super important to know this. So 23% of women of childbearing age are binge drinking. Now, you know the definition of binge drinking? It's 4 drinks, right? 4. So you go to meet your friends for dinner, and you're at the bar, so you have a cocktail. And then they come, and you're still waiting, so you have another cocktail. Okay, that's 2. Oh, now you're at dinner, so you have a little glass of wine. Well, then there's still wine in there left, so you have a little left. Okay, now you've consumed 4 drinks. That's a binge. And I think people don't realize that how serious this can be. So, and we all done it. I've done it. Seriously. How would you know? So binge drinking is a super important thing that we need to talk about. And, okay, have you taken your multivitamin today? Seriously? Raise your hand. Okay, not many. Not many. Okay, we should be taking our multivitamin every day. Did you raise your hand? Oh, good. All right. And people aren't doing so. 32% of women are not taking, and I ask this question all the time about multivitamins, and the answer is like the same. Like, no one's really doing it. Okay, we heard about smoking, so 23% of women are still smoking. We heard the whole data. That was a terrific presentation this morning on smoking cessation. And 25% of women of childbearing age are obese. So who exactly are we trying to educate? So we're educating, of course, the target audience is women of childbearing age, 18 to 44, and on both sides, because pregnancy happens earlier and later. And we're talking about really preconception stuff, so starting a family, thinking about having a baby, as well as during the pregnancy period and newborn. And part of the thing I really think is important that we're talking about here today is people. People first. I think this is one of the things that I'm taking away from this is people are central to what we do. So it's not just pregnant women, it's also moms and dads, a lot of dads out there. It's also bereaved families. So these are folks that have had a loss, and they need to talk about it, and so they contact us a lot about that. And also, I want to just make a note about healthcare professionals. They do contact us, and they ask really hard questions, most of those nurses and doctors. So we also help them. So let's just start with consumers. So I want to talk a little bit about the Pregnancy and Newborn Health Education Center. So I am the national director of the center, and what we do is we provide a direct service to the consumer. And this is anybody all over the world, English and Spanish, and it's really information about maternal child health, the whole gamut of what we do. And we also are targeting Hispanic women, so shout out to Arizona and what they're doing with the Hispanic community. So, woohoo! Love that. So the center, we have, so the kind of media that we produce education is of course, you've all seen the catalog. So we, of our print material. So we have bilingual print material, all different kinds of magazines, brochures. We have the website, which I know you've all seen, and we've gone to that .org, very important. The digital, we have an iPad app, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. English and Spanish both, free, very key. Videos, educational videos, and then we answer emails that come in from all over the world into the center. And we also do a lot on social media, which I'm going to talk about. So the center, so you know, how many emails do you really get? We answer 20,000, almost 20,000 inquiries came in 2014. That's a lot of questions from a lot of folks who are concerned, and they're a little freaked out because they got the ultrasound, and oh my heavens, the baby has a cyst on its brain. we get these very powerful questions, complications and risks, and women are very concerned. Families are concerned. These are the kinds of questions that we're answering. Also, prematurity questions, as you can imagine, baby care, health advocacy. So I'm in the NICU, I sort of don't know what I'm doing, and we sort of help them get to answer the right questions and get them to where they need to go. Pregnancy questions, of course. So I just put in a few of these little thank yous that I think are so interesting. Happy to share any of this. So these are thank yous that we're getting. So I recently received a campaign mailing from March of Dimes, and we'll donate some funds, both gratitude for your personal help and for your cause. Take care. So these are the kinds of thank yous. So we answer questions, and these people are super appreciative of what's going on. 2 shout outs about the blog. So we talked a little bit about social media. We have 2 blogs. We have one in English and one in Spanish. The English one is called News Moms Need. And it does the whole gamut of starting the pregnancy all the way through. And we also do a little bit about prematurity. We do a little bit about babies that are perhaps in the NICU, and then they're having some educational stuff, so early access to care. Spanish, same thing. One other thing I want you to know is the average blog in this country gets 200 views a day. Your average blog, 200 views a day. Can you guess how much we get? Okay, the English language blog gets about 1,300 views a day. The Spanish blog, 3,500 views a day. 3,500 views a day. So part of that, you know, this is a niche. Let's think about this. So a lot of what we do, you go to Healthy Pregnancy, what are you going to do? You're going to go to Baby Center maybe. You're going to go to, there's a bazillion sites, a bazillion blogs, places that you can go. But in Spanish, not so much. What do you have? So we get a lot of people coming to us in the Spanish. So if you have Spanish folks in your community, this is a great sweet spot for us to be in. Okay, apps. I want to talk a little bit about apps. So we have 2 different kinds of things going on. We have the My 9 Months iPad app. It's iPad only at the moment. English and Spanish, 2 separate apps. Free, interactive. So make sure you get it out there, and people are really loving that. I have my iPad with me. If anybody wants to find me, I can show you exactly what it looks like. It's really sort of cool stuff. And then, of course, Cinemama. Now, y'all know Cinemama, right? You know Cinemama? Okay, so we now had an IOM grant. Thank you to Patty Goldman, wherever she is. And so we put in some weight gain. So there's a little more interactivity going on with that. And now, Android. Yay, Patty! So a lot of we are getting questions. So again, free. So I'm going to turn this over to my illustrious colleague.
Thanks, Bev. So I've been with the March of Dimes for 20 years. Yes, I was like 13 when I started, haha. And one of the things that struck me then and continues to strike me now is that we are both big picture and grassroots all at the same time. That's why we have something to offer to everyone. So some of the things that we're going to talk about now, we really want you to be able to take this information and think about how would you use this with your donors. So if you didn't get the theme of the day, that's sort of the purpose of all these presentations. How do I take that real concrete information? So educational programs, we've got all of our materials, but we actually have a few curricula as well that go with them. Any of you familiar with Becoming a Mom? Prenatal classes in education, March of Dimes produced. Comenzando Bien, same content in Spanish, all in one binder. One of the best things that we've ever done, have our materials be bilingual, all in one piece, which I think is fabulous. That was probably your doing, Beth. But we also recognize that not everybody in America is either white or Spanish speaking. There are other special populations that we want to reach. And so through the work of chapters that then built, like every great thing at the March of Dimes, it always starts at a chapter or division and then eventually gains steam and becomes something bigger. We have the Coming of the Blessing, which is that picture in the upper left corner, which was a curriculum and a booklet that's designed specifically for the Native American community about the journey of pregnancy. Because for them, it's not just about health. It's not just a medical issue, but it's very much a spiritual issue, a family issue. So we've got a curriculum just for them. As far as I know, it's the only one of its kind. And on that, we work with the Indian Health Services, which is a part of the US government. So it's gotten recognition at the very highest levels that it could. And then we also fund programs through grants that provide education and also sometimes provide services. So at the photo at the bottom there, of the pregnant lady sitting on the floor there is a photo from a Centering Pregnancy program, which how many of you have a Centering Pregnancy or group prenatal care program in your chapter? Yes, more than take their multivitamins. Let's take a hint from that. So this is a program that we support through community grants, and a large component of it is education. So when we look at these things all together, more than 20% of the community grants that we gave last year as chapters, so 1.9 million, was funding education. So that's pretty impressive. That's a big chunk of an investment that we're making. There were about 250 separate programs, and we reached almost 680,000 women just through those educational grants, which is pretty impressive. So that's your mission volunteers, that's your communications folks, your directors of program services, that's them hard at work. And you might say, well, Tracy, of course you know this information, this is your job, this is what you do every day. Well, I did not know this information by heart, but you have the tool which has all of this data in it. The Community Programs Impact Report, which was in your envelope yesterday, and again, a shout out to the Chapter Program Support Department at National that made this very user-friendly for us. So thanks to Scott Burns and Kelly Ernst, who I know are both here. Raise your hand, Kelly. And I don't know where Scott is. Scott's back there. You know, we've been doing this for years, but chapters weren't using it. So Kelly said, well, what do we need to do to make this better? We talked to chapters, and now it's in a much better format. And I'm going to challenge you, even if you don't want to look at it, your chapter might be mentioned in there, so you should definitely check it out. Then in addition, we have our Healthy Babies, Healthy Business program. So this started about 9 years ago. We had 4 companies. In case you aren't familiar with Healthy Babies, Healthy Business, the definition's right there. But essentially, it's an educational program whereby an employer of any size, or actually it's over 50 employees, I think, employers can have intranet access to our educational content. So basically the same stuff that's on our website, but that would be provided to their employees through their own intranet, so they don't even have to go outside. And today, we have almost 500 corporations and employers that are using this program, and they're as varied as United Auto Workers, Walmart, government entities, Sears, and many, many others. University of Rochester, another one. So if you think, well, this donor, this partner, they're not going to be interested in that. Well, why would a university want that? Well, because they have employees that need to be educated. So don't discount anybody. Healthy Babies, Healthy Business is free. This is easy. This is easy, folks. And you're out there every day. How many of you did time studies last year? I think it was last year we did them, right? Or is it this year? Yeah, everybody knows. Come work for the region. You don't have to do time studies. One of the best things about the job. Well, when you fill out your time studies, you probably noticed it says community, I forget what exactly, community service, public education, and you're like, wait a minute. They're telling me to raise money. I don't do public education. But when you go to visit with somebody, what do you talk about? I hope our mission. Please say our mission. So you are educating the public. Every time you say preterm birth is the leading killer of children under the age of 5, you're educating people. Every time you say, hey, do you know you should take a multivitamin with folic acid? You're educating people. So this is you out there doing this work. This isn't just the national office or your program services and advocacy staff and volunteers. So as Bev said, we also educate healthcare providers because it's really, and we really learned this lesson in a big way with the 39 Weeks campaign. Healthcare providers said, well, you know, women are coming in and asking to be delivered early, so you need to go educate them so that they'll stop. So we did that, and we did it really, really well. But then the women said, well, you know, my doctor's the one who suggested that I get delivered early before 39 weeks, so maybe you need to educate them too. Well, we've got an app for that. Well, not quite an app, but we have programs for that. So we do conferences, usually on a statewide basis, on all kinds of maternal child health topics. We've been doing lots on 39 Weeks and similar issues. We do grand rounds There used to be a restaurant called Ground Round. So when my first 5 years with the March of Dimes, I was like, what does this have to do with hamburgers? I don't really get it. Grand Rounds, which are short educational sessions, usually within a hospital setting, for doctors and nurses and other providers, usually about an hour long. We do lots of those. The national office provides quite a bit of funding, actually, to chapters to do that. We have our award-winning nursing modules, which you can find in the catalog that Bev mentioned. And we also produce tools for them to educate their patients. Because research is really important, but it's only as good as what happens on the ground. You know, we've helped fund research that found that folic acid could prevent certain birth defects. Well, that's great. But if people don't take folic acid because they don't know, they haven't learned, that research doesn't do us much good. So see how these things all fit together? And then on the advocacy front, we wanted women to take folic acid, but it's really hard to get enough just through your diet. So we advocated to have food fortified with folic acid. And it took all three of those things to really start to bring those birth defect rates down. So this all very much goes hand in hand. So how many health professionals did we reach? So last year, more than 41,000, which is pretty impressive. And we invested about $709,000 through our chapters in different types of continuing ed for healthcare professionals. We've learned a lot here, you know, in America, but we've taken that and we're sharing it with the rest of the world. And this slide shows a couple of the ways that we do that. Just as in the United States, we educate our policymakers, that's part of our advocacy work as well. We educate healthcare professionals and we educate women and their partners and families. We do the same thing on an international level. How many do you know that we have a global programs department or division? I don't know what they're called, but global programs. Yay, Kim Larrick knows that there's one. That's great. But I'm really very sad to see that most of you don't, because they have this tiny little budget. I think it's like less than $500,000. It's something crazy, small amount. And they do all kinds of work internationally, educating about folic acid in countries like China, lots of work in South America. So we're out there. So if you're going to a multinational company, wouldn't that be a nice thing to pull out of your pocket to talk about our global programs and the education that we do? We started this year the first Worldwide Birth Defects Day, which was March 3rd, and plans are already underway for next year's, so this is going to become an annual event. Many of you might remember when we switched from Prematurity Awareness Day, and we loved saying PAD, 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 and PAM, 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 to World Prematurity Day. Now we're like WFD, WPD, because it's international. We've got partners from many different nations, not only English-speaking nations, but others as well, that have joined with us. And a big part of that campaign is education and awareness. And we also have a conference coming up. Just like within your chapters, March of Dimes sometimes is the organization that can get everybody around the table to talk about difficult issues. It's the same thing on the global scale. So we're hosting the 7th International Conference on Birth Defects and Disabilities in the developing world. And that's in September if anybody would like to attend. Although I'm pretty sure that's way out of my league for sure. So with that, Kim is going to show us some of the direct mail education.
Hi. So I've been here 23 years. I started when I was 12, a little bit before you. And I am passionate about all things fundraising. I have a team of people that work for me, and we do lots of things in the area of direct response fundraising and also support Staryn in her work and really work cross-organizationally because we're all in this together. I want to show you some examples, though, today of how we use education as a theme line for revenue generation and support. So I do a lot of direct mail, 70 million pieces, in fact. I reach most of the US population at some point with a piece of mail, and on the back, education is prominently featured. It's something that we're passionate about featuring on the back to educate women, their families. The target audience for direct mail is 65 plus, so we say share this with someone you love. And I love it when I get emails or pieces of mail back from donors that say, hey, I did not know this. I learned that toxoplasmosis is really important, and I told my daughter who's pregnant, don't touch the kitty litter. I had no idea, and so I love getting letters like that. We feature it in the back of the Mother's March kit. So Mother's March has huge reach. Mother's March is our neighbor-to-neighbor program. We put this all over our Mother's March kits and in the letters to the neighbors for many reasons, most of which is because of the reach. Because each one of those volunteers we recruit could be sending that piece of mail up to 23 people on their neighborhood list. So that's enormous reach and impact. We use education and emails. This is from our friends in the North Carolina chapter. And they talked about the 39 Weeks campaign. They're inviting constituents to learn more about it. So education and emails, very important as a theme line. This is something that's so cool. And I hope my friends from Pursuant are in the audience somewhere. Yes, you are. So this is the microsite for the Campaign to End Premature Birth. And this is so cool, because what we're doing in the Campaign to End Premature Birth for Major Gifts is we are inviting donors to come to a microsite. Once there, they learn more about March of Dimes, and they learn more about each of the areas of cares. So community, advocacy, and so on. And what's really cool about it is we monitor their behavior. We look to see what they're clicking on. Are they watching all the videos? Are they watching a certain video? And then we collect that information. Do they care about education? Do they care about research? Did they fill out the form? All of that information goes back into the model and makes us smarter and better about targeting people. Two of the things that I think you guys should be talking about, and know like the back of your hand, the Campaign to End Premature Birth is one of them. You should feel really, really comfortable and confident, or get really confident about talking about the prematurity campaign. And again, one of the things that we talk about, and that's been a theme line from this morning, is the why before the what. So you should be talking about the prematurity campaign and telling everybody why it matters. So here's an easy way in the slides in your package, so you could talk about the why. Why does prematurity matter? Well, preterm birth affects 1 in 10 babies born in the United States. And then you talk about the what. Same thing with 39 weeks. You should be talking about 39 weeks. You should be knowing how to talk about this campaign really easily. You present the why before the what. Why? Because in the past 2 decades, the number of inductions have more than doubled. Babies born even a few weeks earlier can have serious health problems. That's the why. What are we doing about it? All of those things. The Healthy Babies Worth the Wait initiative. 94,000 women have learned the importance of waiting for labor to begin on its own. And you talk about the things that we do, the real things that matter to help. I wanted to show you another thing that we did. So in direct response, we're always testing. So this is 39 weeks, bringing education back in and really testing all these different elements, giving upfront premiums, but really talking about education and the 39-week theme in our direct mail packages. And we test every single component because we really want people to self-identify about the areas they care about. If we know they care about an area, we can target them better. And we're starting to do that. We have advocates. Where's Cindy Pellegrini? On our database, we have people that self-identified through as advocates. They care about advocacy efforts. We know that advocates on our file perform 4 times. They're 4 times as valuable as a regular constituent. So it's important to know this information. So one of the things I wanted to tell you also about the Major Gift campaign is the mid-level donor program, newly launched. And what they're doing is they're using an iPad presentation, really cool, as part of that face-to-face strategy. It's not the whole part of the meeting, but it's a way to sit down with a prospect, with a volunteer, with a donor, and you use the iPad presentation as an easy way with pictures and words to tell the story. There's lots of benefits involved. It's short, it's quick, and it's a way to have the staff member feel very comfortable about communicating the story. Here's education featured all over our websites. We're across every digital medium that you can imagine. But remember, nothing is more compelling than that face-to-face meeting. So we talk a lot about elevator speeches. We talk a lot about how to say something quickly and easily and capture attention. It's about communicating interest and then impact. So again, we talk about the why before the what. Here's 3 big reasons. This is the why. Because premature birth is the #1 killer of children under 5. Because 1 in 10 babies are born prematurely in the US every year. Because premature birth costs us more than $26 billion a year. But the what is now the local programming, the things that we've just shared before, the local educational program, the direct services that we do, all of the online tools and things that we have to help educate people on having a healthy baby, and our social media engagement. So remember to keep it short and keep it real. We talk about real and feel. Make sure it's authentic. If you can tell your own story, that's so powerful. If you don't have your own story, you know somebody that has a story, whether it's someone in your family or someone in your chapter area. Personalize that story. It goes so much further when you do. Remember, because donors want to feel like they're making a difference. So it's really important to put that out there. They took a meeting with you because they already believe. They wouldn't have taken that meeting with you or sat down with you and wasted their time if they didn't already believe. So you have to harness that and remind them we need them to make a difference. Here's the why, and here's the what.